Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Making an Impact with Zebu Nation. And today we have for you a very special episode. This is the 2020 Major League Soccer season preview. Hopefully you saw our previous videos, which was the preseason spectacular, the postseason spectacular. We've got a Champions League video series going on because we're trying to make our way through that whole bucket of syrup. But anyway, we've seen our team in those previous videos. We saw all the moves we made in the offseason. We saw our new team in action in the Champions League. But the one thing we haven't seen so far this season is our actual MLS squad registration. So we're going to take a look at that. And here we are. Here's the actual registration. We didn't have to cut anybody. We didn't have to use too much allocation money. So I planned the roster pretty well this season. Even though we brought in a ton of young players, we didn't really have a lot of disruption in terms of the starting 11 or the starting 18 basically. So here we are. We are at the full complement of 30 players. We only have 2 designated players, so we got 1 designated player slot left available if we find anybody who's worth picking up at that price. We got 6 international slots available. We sold 2 of them off for more allocation money, so that's okay, I guess. But we still only have 5. So again, we're keeping 1 international slot available just in case we find a really good international player. We got all 10 off-budget players, so those guys don't count versus the salary cap. We only have 2 reserves, though. That's an interesting change. Normally, we have a ton of reserve players, but we sent them all out on loan. We sent like a billion players out on loan. Let's take a look. Look at this loan list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 players out on loan. Most of them to the Ottawa Fury, who we just sort of sent a lot of our 17 and 18-year-olds. Well, I guess they're all 18 years old. I don't think we have any 17 years old. So 18 and 19-year-olds, we sent them all out to Ottawa Fury. Hopefully they can all get playing time, but we'll see. I mean, we had to get them off the roster one way or another. And that's what an affiliate club is good for, I guess. So anyway, got a lot of players going to a lot of different places. Salary cap-wise, we're pretty good. 4.2 million. So like I said, we used a little bit of general allocation money to get under the cap, but we didn't have to use much. And if we look at the finances, look at the league specific, we're pretty good. Got 1.6 million available in allocation money. We started the season with only 525,000, so we made a lot of moves and got a lot of allocation money, so that's good. We only used 250,000 of it, so that's no problem. We also have targeted allocation money available if we need that, which we currently do not. But anyway, we're looking good with our roster and our finances. So now let's get to why we're all here. Let's take a look at the league, Major League Soccer. Let's take a look at the season preview. We're going to look at every team a little bit up and down, see what moves they've made, see where they're predicted to finish, all that stuff. So let's start off there with the predictions, the media season preview. Now last year, look at this, Montreal Impact were the champions because we won the MLS Cup. We didn't win the Supporters' Shield, but we did win the Cup. Here is the prediction. Starting at the bottom, we got 3 teams, 1,000 to 1 odds. Orlando, Chicago, Minnesota. So it's 2 Eastern Conference teams and a Western Conference team. Orlando, they haven't had a good time of it as of late. They finished 22nd in the league last season. Diego Maradona is not playing well, unfortunately for him. I mean, he talks a big game, but he is not performing well at Orlando. They got Oriol Russell as their key player from Spain. Defensive midfielder, pretty good-looking player, so he can help them out defensively, valued at $2.4 million. Sasha Kljestan is still there, hanging on as assistant captain. His physicals have gone down significantly, but he's still a pretty good player mentally and technically. Joe Bendik, their goalkeeper, is the team captain. He's a pretty decent player. Actually, he's pretty good. No caps for USA, but he's still a pretty good-looking goalkeeper, and he's their captain. So we'll see what Orlando can do. We'll look at their transfer history later, but for now, It's not looking so good. Same with Chicago Fire. They finished last season on a downward trend, 16th. They got Dax McCarty. I mean, they still have a talented squad. Dax McCarty, Nikolic, Schweinsteiger as their captain. How's Schweinsteiger looking these days? 3 pace is not what I would call good. It's pretty bad, actually. I've never seen anybody with 3 pace out there. So hopefully, yeah, I don't know. 35 years old now, Schweinsteiger. Might be time to call it a career. But anyway, they got a new head coach, Marko Mitrovic from Serbia, promoted from their assistant coach in 2016. No, 2019 he was promoted, yes, to head coach. So he got the job last season. Good on him. Another Eastern European coach. So they've got, again, a strong Eastern European flair to the Chicago Fire. And we got Minnesota United, also 1,000-to-1 odds. Last year, they finished on an upward trend, 11th. So they are predicted to have a fall this season. We'll see. They got Jordan Sebetu as their key player, 23-year-old American target man. That's interesting. Where did he come from? We'll take a look here real quick. Career stats. They got him from France for $1.5 million. Interesting. Didn't play a lot for them last year. Only 9 games, 2 goals, 6.78 rating. That's not the worst, but hopefully they'll get some more use out of him this year as their best player. So we'll see. He's already got a goal this season. The Minnesota's team that's played this season. One of 2 teams that have played already this season. See what Minnesota can do. See if they can buck the odds here. San Jose at 650-to-1 odds. Last year they were 17th. Again, another downward trend for them. They're just really up and down. They don't have really any sort of rhyme or reason to their pattern at the moment. But they got Florian Jungwirth from Germany. Central defender / midfielder of some sort. He can play all up and down the central midfield. So he could play just about anywhere. He's a very strong defensive player. Doesn't give you much offensively. So maybe he is best at central defense at 31 years old. But anyway, he can give them some defensive flexibility. Cole Grossman is their captain. 30-year-old American midfielder. He's a pretty good player. He's all right. He can do some stuff for him. Nice passing. He's got some tackling ability, some vision, work rate. So he could play some sort of midfielder, defensive midfielder. Put him in that regista role. Could make some plays from back there. Anyway, Steve Ralston is their head coach. Now we move up. We take a little bit of a jump up to LAFC with 550-to-1 odds. It's too bad to see them this far down the list, but they haven't really earned much else. First season, they finished 13th, which is a respectable inaugural season, but then they took a drop this last year to last in the league, 23rd overall, which is not a good result for them. They've got a better team than this. I mean, you look, they got Carlos Vela as their key player. Dave Romney is a fine, solid defensive player. New coach, though. What's this all about? Mark Dos Santos. Where's Bob Bradley at? Bob Bradley. This is interesting. He was the San Francisco Delta's coach up until 2017. And then he got a coaching gig at LAFC, became the interim coach last season, and got the permanent head coaching job this year. So we'll see what Mark Dos Santos can do that Bob Bradley did not. What's our old pal Bob up to these days? Take a look at Bob Bradley. He is unemployed. Poor Bob. I thought he was doing a good job over there at LAFC. I thought he built a nice roster. I mean, he had a good inaugural season, but I guess the board is pretty harsh. And that second season, they were like, get out of here, Bob Bradley. So maybe it wasn't our fault that we got fired at LAFC. Maybe it's the board over there is a little too quick on the trigger. But anyway, see at some point Bob Bradley. We'll see if he makes a comeback to MLS or if he goes overseas. Okay, sorry about that. Had to do a little pause there, but we're back now. Get back to looking at LAFC. real quick. And we said everything we need to say about them. So we'll see what they're up to this offseason in a minute. Vancouver, 400 to 1 odds. So the odds are getting better and better. Last year they finished 20th. Again, a dip for them. They had been on a slightly positive trend there from 16th, 15th, and now they're back down to 20th. So we'll see what they can do. Mario Gomez, another German player. Lots of German players making their way over to MLS. He's an interesting dude. 34-year-old striker. Big, strong guy. 16 strength. 6'2" for a striker is pretty good. Very nice mentals. Look at this anticipation, 18. Off the ball, 19. So he's a real slippery character back there on the back line. He'll make some moves, and he's got 17 finishing to back that up. So I'm going to look for him to score quite a few goals this season. Vancouver picked him up for $3.1 million. He had some nice years in the Bundesliga, but now he's going to try his hand at MLS, so we'll see what he can do. Whoops. Efrain Juarez is their vice captain from Mexico. Kendall Watson from Costa Rica, 32 years old. So Vancouver's got kind of an old squad. I mean, he's really a big dude, 6'5", 19 strength, 18 jumping reach. Yeah, he's pretty good on the back line, 16 heading. Not going to be many aerial balls getting past him, so he's going to be pretty good. Josh Wolf is their head coach. Take a look here. Let's keep the train rolling. DC United, 100 to 1 odds. So this is about where we were last season. See if DC United can make a similar jump that we did. They got Zoltán Stieber from Hungary. 31 years old. Is this the Zoltán? Played at the Bundesliga. They got him for an undisclosed amount in 2017, so that means he was part of the MLS update roster. He's been with DC United for 4 years. I guess we just haven't been paying that much attention to DC United. Zach Lloyd is still hanging on as their vice captain. Stanko is their captain, and Jason Kreese, their head coach. I think he's been there for a while, correct? Yeah, he's been there since 2017, so he's doing a fine job. DC United keeping things going. Toronto FC, look at this, 60 to 1 odds. This is probably their worst preseason odds in a while, even though they've been finishing not very well. Let's take a look at their pattern here. Obviously, they were 6th in the league and took a huge tumble down to 23rd overall in 2018. But 2019, they made a nice comeback to 14th place. They almost made the playoffs last season. I don't think they did. Maybe they made the wild card round but lost. Anyway, yeah, hopefully Toronto can continue this upward move. Their team is getting older, though. They still have Bradley as their key player, Giovinco as their vice captain, Bradley as their captain. Laurent Guillot managed to hang on as head coach last season, so we'll see if he gets another full season or not. With Toronto FC, 60 to 1 odds. Real Salt Lake, 55 to 1 odds, right there with them. They finished last season 21st overall, so we're predicting them to have an upgrade. Lewis Coyle from England is their key player. 24-year-old right back. He looks pretty good. He's very solid mentally. Pretty okay technically. Nice dribbling and first touch for a fullback. So he's a guy who's going to get forward a little bit. Marcelino Moreno is their vice captain from Argentina. Marcelo Silva is their captain, central defender, 30 years old from Uruguay. Nice jumping reach. Yeah, he's pretty good. Head coach Richie Williams from USA. He was their interim head coach in 2018. Got promoted to the full-time job, and he's managed to keep a hold of it for a full season, so good for him. See what he can do. Maybe 2 full seasons. 18, 19, and 20, I guess. Well, 2019 at the very least. Anyway, he's still there. Going to get another shot at it. We skipped over some people, didn't we? I think we skipped over quite a few people, including ourselves at Montreal. So we got Philadelphia, Colorado, 250 to 1. Seattle Sounders, 200 to 1. Montreal, 150 to 1. I think we skipped straight to DC United for some reason. Anyway, Get back to the top of the league. Columbus Crew, 50-1 odds. Now we're starting to talk about some real odds here. We've already played these guys in Champions League and beat them in Champions League. So, either they're a little unfit or maybe they're not as good as the rankings would say. They finished 4th overall last year, so they had a very good season. Ben Olsen is still their coach. Will Trapp is still their captain. Filipovic, vice captain. Pedro Santos, their key player. We've seen all those guys before. No problems there. Sporting KC, 45-1. Interesting. Finished 3rd last 2 seasons. They're definitely on an upward trend here. We'll see if they can make the big move to get past the likes of the LA Galaxy and win the Supporters' Shield. Gerso Fernandez from Guinea-Bissau is their best player. Winger of some sort. He can play left or right. Very good pace, flair, nice skills. So he's a very good player. 29 years old, valued at $4.8 million. Roger Espinoza is their vice captain. Russell Canus, 24-year-old American, is their captain. Good leadership, good physicals. Where did this guy come from? He was an undisclosed transfer to DC United, who then traded him to Sporting KC. So he came from the roster update. He had a heck of a season last year, 7.05 rating, so very good for him. Kiri Zavignin is their head coach. He was a player there from 2000 to 2008, assistant coach to 2017, got promoted to head coach in 2017, so he's a homegrown boy. Homegrown Kansas City boy, and he has, made good. He's got them flying high, so good for him. Then we got New York Red Bull, 35-1. They leveled off last season at 5th place the last 2 seasons. Adair, Silva, Robles is still there. Carl Robinson from Wales. Interesting. This guy's been all over the map. He was a head coach for Vancouver until 2017. He took over LA Galaxy in that not-so-great 2017 to 2018 time frame, so he got let go there. Then he's been the Red Bulls head coach since 2019, so last season. Guess he did a pretty good job, so we'll see if he can stick in that job. New England, 33-1 odds. They had a bit of a dip last season, down to 6th place. They were 2nd in the Shield before, 4th, so they've had a pretty good run of form in the last 3 years. Not so bad. Fernando Tobio from Argentina, central defender. Look at this guy. He's pretty good. 6'3", nice physicals, nice mentals, very good technicals. He's an outstanding central defender, 30 years old. So we got to watch out for him. Diego Fagundes is back as vice captain. Antonio Delamia Milnar from Slovenia is their captain. Another central defender, so they're going to have a very strong defense. He's pretty good. So we're going to have to watch out for New England this year. And Craig Dalrymple is still their head coach, holding on. The Englishman. He's been there since last season, so he kept his job, so that's good for him. Houston Dynamo, the team we played in the Cup, 30-1 odds. Elise is still there. Cabezas. Seren is their team captain. Wilmer Cabrera still there. Long-time coach. Been there since 2014. He's got to be one of the longest-serving coaches in the league. Well, I guess he was at Chivas in 2014. 2016 is when he joined Houston Dynamo. I thought he was there for longer than that, but I guess not. Anyway, he's still probably one of the longest-serving coaches in the league, which is kind of sad, coming in at 2016. Anyway, he's done a fine job there, and Houston continues on their upward trend. 11th. Last year they finished 2nd. Had an outstanding season, scored a lot of goals. I think like 83 goals last season, so we'll see if they can keep that up. Portland Timbers, they're expected to make a bit of a comeback. 25-1 odds to win it. They had a dip last season, down to 15th. They're used to finishing higher than that, 9th, 10th, 12th, 5th, 11th. So it's the farthest down they've been in quite a few years. Blanco is still there. Mabiala is still there. Diego Valeri is still their captain. Nolan Clark from Northern Ireland got the job last season in 2019. He was coaching North Carolina FC. Interesting. He's had quite a run of jobs here in America. After he came over as a player from Portsmouth, got the head coaching job in Richmond, then San Diego, then FC Dallas for a couple of years, then went over to Puerto Rico, was the Puerto Rican national team coach. That's pretty good. Carolina Red Hawks, North Carolina, and now Portland Timber. So we'll see what Colin Clark can do with Portland, see if he can get them back on the right track. Major League Soccer, Atlanta United. Now we're getting into the big boys. Atlanta United predicted 4th, 6-1 odds. They had a bit of a drop last season, down to 9th place. After starting out like gangbusters, 2nd in the league in their first season, then 4th. It's got a bit of a downward trend here. Atlanta's going to have to work things out. Almiron is still there. Nagby is their vice captain. Oliveira is their captain. Oscar Pareja got the job. We saw that in the offseason moves. Oscar Pareja is going to be the head coach for Atlanta United. I think that's a good mix. You know, he's a good motivating coach. He's somebody who has a system in place, and I think he can fit that with Atlanta United's players pretty well. Then we got NYC FC predicted 3rd place and top of the Eastern Conference here, because they are the highest rated Eastern Conference team at 5-1 odds. Got Alexander Ring is back. Jackson Martinez is their vice captain. 33-year-old Colombian striker, valued at $4.5 million. He's still pretty good at 33 years old, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. I think he's new. I don't recall him. No, he's been there. They got him last year for $8.25 million. Only played 11 games for him, so that's not a great value. We'll see if they can get some more out of him this season. And we got FC Dallas predicted to make a huge comeback, 4-1. They dropped precipitously after their multiple-year run of championships. They had 3 straight Supporters' Shields, and then they dropped all the way down to 13th, which a lot of teams would take 13th place, but not FC Dallas. Grazo is still there. Rito Ziegler from Switzerland is their vice captain. Left back, 34 years old, so he's a little old. He's starting to fall off physically, but he's still very good technically and mentally, so we'll see how much more he's got to give them. Matt Hedges, of course, still there. Central defense, Dominic Kinnear is their head coach. He got the job last season, came over from Portland. He did a fine job at Portland, and he did not so good at Dallas, FC Dallas. He was a little bit of a disappointment, so we'll see what they can do. See if he can rebuild FC Dallas. And then finally, of course, the number 1 team in the league, LA Galaxy, returning to their championship roots from, probably 10 years ago when they last won the Supporters' Shield was, 2010, 2011 were the last times they won the Supporters' Shield. So they've gone back to their roots. Last season in 2019, they won the Supporters' Shield. And they've still got a lot of really good players. Giovanni Dos Santos is their key player and vice captain. João Pedro from Portugal is their captain. Nico Esteves, head coach, got the gig in 2018, and he's managed to hold on, won a championship, so hopefully they would keep him around. He's a very good coach. So it behooves the LA Galaxy to keep them around. He was the interim head coach for Columbus before that. So it's interesting that Columbus let this guy go, and he went on to success with the Galaxy. So there we go. There's every team top to bottom, minus a couple in the middle who we apparently don't care about. But anyway, overall, in terms of transfers this season, well, I guess we can look at the Dream Team. the Media Dream 11. Andre Blake in goal for Portland. So Philadelphia got rid of Blake, sent him off to Portland. I'm happy with that. Get him out of the Eastern Conference. Let them play Vermeer all day long because we torched Vermeer in every game last season. And Andre Blake, we always struggled to score versus Blake. So we will take that trade any day of the week. They got Skelvic on the left-hand side, Coyle, Tobio, Salcedo. I'm not real familiar with a lot of these guys. Skelvic I've heard before. He is LA Galaxy. Salcedo is New England. Yeah, 22-year-old, another central defender from Paraguay. Man, New England's defense is really tough. We got to watch out for them. Tobio, another New England Revolution central defender. Got to watch out for these boys. They're going to be hard to score on. Coyle on the right-hand side for Real Salt Lake. Looking pretty good. Blanco on the right-hand side for Portland. 31 years old now, but still pretty good. You know, nothing to sneeze at there. Dos Santos, Jonathan Dos Santos in the midfield. Of course, he's very good. 29 years old now. Almiron from Atlanta United. 26 years old. Another very talented midfielder. On the left-hand side is Nicolas Lodero. Again, this one's sometimes from Seattle. Again, a very good player. Getting up there in age now, 30 years old, but still very good. And then up top, we got Giovanni Dos Santos. Going to play a bit of a striker role. He can do that. He can play all over the place. Anywhere you need him to play, he can play. He's probably best out on the right wing, but, you know, there's a lot of right wingers these days. Let him play up top as a striker with Carlos Vela. It's basically the Mexican national team going on here. And he's another guy who prefers the right wing, but he can play up top as a trequartista. He's playing very well in real life for LAFC as a striker, so hopefully that can translate into Football Manager. All right, now let's take a look at the transfer activity. Now, last year there was not much in terms of transfers. Let's see how we're doing this season. And there's quite a bit more. Not totally as many as 2 years ago. But this year, you know, it's a pretty good number. We almost got one full page of transfers. So, of course, the biggest transfer this year was Jeshem Vargas, the sale of Jeshem Vargas to Hamburg for $6 million, up to 7.25. So that's the guy who sort of fueled our offseason, was selling off Vargas. And then the second biggest move was us bringing in Jean-Kevin Duverne. So you don't see that very often from me, where I'm the, you know, top transfer money guy in the league. That's very rare for me. Atlanta United brought in Franco Escobar for $3.4 million from River Plate. 25-year-old Argentinian. Haven't scouted him too much, but he looks pretty good. If those technicals and physicals and mentals are half as good as we think they are, he's going to be a top quality player. Tackling, he's probably some sort of defensive midfielder or central midfielder. You know, with that amount of tackling, he's got to be defensive midfielder of some sort. Maybe, yeah, got to be. Then FC Dallas brought in Nedikov. No, sent out Nedikov. Okay, wait a minute. So Atlanta United sold Escobar to River Plate. FC Dallas sold Nedikov to Ludogorets. Where are they at? They are in Bulgaria. Interesting. Get out of here. Send them to Bulgaria. There we go. There's Gomez going to the Whitecaps for $3.1 million. Philadelphia selling Christian Sueves to Catholic University, $2.6 million. Minnesota United. So there's a lot of sales going on here. What's happening? Become a sellers league here in MLS. Barboza goes to Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga. How old is this guy? 23 years old, so selling off their young players, unfortunately. Chicago Fire from the old boys. They brought in Fabian Hernandez for $825,000. 24-year-old Argentinian, looks okay. Nothing too spectacular, but he's all right. Colorado brought in Julian Fay Lund from Rosenberg for $700,000. See what he's all about. He's a goalkeeper, 20 years old. So there's a lot of room to grow for this guy. It's a good pickup for Colorado. Toronto FC sold off Aspirilla to Atletico Nacional. 27-year-old Colombian, so sort of a dropping salary move, at least seems like. They made a nice profit off him, I guess, a little bit. $600,000, so that's okay. Brendan Hines Ike. Hines, I don't know how you pronounce that last name. He's an American, interestingly. Valued at $1.2 million, so they got a bargain. Pretty good. You know, not going to blow you away. He's probably another defensive midfielder. You know, he's a central defender. That makes sense. 13 marking, 12 tackling. Yeah, so he's a pretty solid player. I'd take him for sure at central defense. And Chicago brought in Filip Rajcevic from Bari. Where's this at? This is Italian Serie A, so that's good. It's a good move. $475,000. What's he all about? 26-year-old target man. He looks pretty good. Big, strong kid. You know, nice heading. You know, pretty good technicals overall. Okay mentals overall. So he's a good pickup. We'll take him for $500,000. No problem. Atlanta United brought in Wilson. I almost called him Vision. 31-year-old Brazilian central defender. So again, Atlanta United going for older central defenders. We'll see if that works out for them. LAFC brought in Gabriel Bravo, 25-year-old Argentinian. Winger attacking, looks okay. Not great crossing, but he's got dribbling, finishing, heading. So he's sort of an inside forward type guy. Orlando City brought in Wellington Pirulito. No, Pirulito. I can't tell if that's an I or another L. Anyway, Brazilian, 28 years old, central defender. Pretty good. So there's been a lot of central defense work in the offseason. A lot of people are bringing in new guys. Houston Dynamo brought in John McCarty from Penn FC. 27-year-old American. This is an interesting move. Where's Penn FC? They are in the USL Eastern Conference, so you don't see moves like this very much. Spending real live money to a lower division team for one of their players, and an older player at that, 27 years old. That's a very odd move, but he's an okay-looking player. Goalkeeper. Maybe he's going to be a reserve for Houston, I don't know, but whatever the case, $155,000 is not a lot to spend, so that's fine. Minnesota United brought in Benchik. 22-year-old Norwegian winger. He looks pretty good. Good physicals, good mentals. His technicals could use some work, but he's only 22 years old, so he's got some time. It's a good move for Minnesota. Only $100,000. LA sold off Laurent Simon. Unfortunately, he's 34 years old now, so he's getting up there. Contracted to Westerlo. $90,000, so good luck to you, Laurent. Montreal, we brought in Junior Ramos from Bahia for only $88,000. Pretty good player. I like him. He's going to be playing in our central midfield. LAFC brought in Francisco Navas from Huila for 28-year-old American. Defensive wingback. It's interesting. Not the kind of player I would choose, but he's okay, I guess. Decent mentals, decent technicals, decent physicals. Just sort of overall decent guy. Nothing to get too excited about. Vancouver brought in Joel Sonora. Okay, 23-year-old American. No, a winger. I guess he's all right. Technicals are pretty okay. Mentals are sort of okay. Physical's not very good at all, if I'm honest with you. But, you know, at least they're filling out their roster. Then we sold off Rick Tran to IFK for $39,500. So we're getting down to the bottom of the list here. LAFC brought in Diver Para from Colombia, 28 years old. Central defender, another central defender. He's only 5'9", 6 jumping reach, but he's got 16 heading. So I don't know how that works out. But we'll see if jumping reach and size has anything to do with how well you play on the back line, because he's an interesting dude. Maybe he's going to play defensive midfielder or something. I don't know. But with 6 jumping reach, no thanks. New England for a mere $13,000 brought in Kevin Piedrahita. Take a look at this guy. 28-year-old American goalkeeper. He's got a first-team contract, interestingly enough. He's just sort of okay. I don't think I would really want this guy to be my first-team goalkeeper, but, you know, guess you got to make do with what you got. And then Portland Timbers with the final move. They sold off Coloca to Rivadavia Lincoln in the Argentinian interior zone, whatever that means. 34-year-old Argentinian, just sort of getting him off the roster, it looks like. Just, so they didn't have to pay out his contract, just get rid of him. So there we go. There's the off-season moves. All of that. So it looks like, the top of the division for the Eastern Conference is going to be NYCFC, Atlanta United, New England. We saw them make all those defensive moves. I would put New England up there. Red Bulls, Columbus, then Toronto, then DC, then Montreal. So they are picking us maybe to not make the playoffs, is what it looks like. So we'll see how that works out. It didn't work out well for anybody last year except for us because we won the MLS Cup. But anyway, let's get to the schedule for this week. As you can see, we played a bunch of games, played our Champions League games. Hopefully you saw that. But now we got New England Revolution. Let's take a look at the competitions. And the board is expecting us to reach the conference finals. So they want us to definitely make the playoffs. And, that's a tough ask, but we can probably do it. We'll see. I think we got the team to do it, but you never know how this goes. And then they want us to finish around the top of the league. So we got to do much better than expectations if we're going to get the board happy with us. So we'll see how that goes. But this week in MLS, you got quite the grouping of games. Columbus Crew versus LA. That's a big game. DC versus Sporting Kansas City. That's a good one. NYC, no, that's not a good one. Houston versus Seattle. That's a big one in the Western Conference. So we got a lot of interesting, good matchups this week. And we'll get to our own matchup in a minute. We're going with the 4-2-4, of course. We're going to hand that over to the assistant coach. Continue on down the line. And there it is. We've got the New England Revolution, the team we were just looking at. They've got a lot of new pieces, so maybe it'll take them some time to get used to each other. But once they do get used to each other, I think they're going to have a really tough, really solid defense. So we're going to have to take a look at their lineup. We're going to have to take a look at their rotation, see what they've got going on, see how many of those guys are going to make the starting lineup. I would assume most, if not all, but they do have 3 very good central defenders, so I don't know what they're going to do with that third central defender. Are they going to play 3 at the back? Are they going to move one of them out to the wing or up to defensive midfielder? I don't know. We shall see. You don't spend all that money in the offseason to not use those guys. All right, we got a lot of sort of fitness issues going on. So, we just had the Champions League game. We got another Champions League game coming up at the end of the week. So we got issues here. So we're going to be playing a rotated side. Some of our lone players playing okay. Gonzalo got a goal. Good for him. Here is our match preview. The Revolution playing their 50-50 jerseys here. That's interesting. Red on one side, white on the other. I don't know that I've seen that before. I don't know if that's a special jersey or if I just don't pay attention to New England, which is entirely possible. So here's New England. We looked at this page. Now let's take a look at their registration, see what they're up to. Look at that, 26 whole players on their squad. Outstanding. They got 3 designated players, 4.2 million, so they've got, practically a full roster. Good on them. Let's take a look at their senior squad tactics. They haven't quite filled out yet, so we don't really know. Claude Dina, fairly determined. Okay, we'll see what he's up. There's Salcedo, the 22-year-old. Kellen Rowe, Nemeth, Villarreal. So we don't know what they're going to do in the midfield. Bryan as their defensive midfielder, 23-year-old Englishman. He's pretty good. We'll see. Let's get to the team selection and see who they actually put up there. So, of course, we're going with the 4-2-4. We're going to go on the attack. What's happening here? Don't want that. I want to do this. So, on the bench, we're going to have Mike Wynn, Petrasso, Eric Lopez, one of our new draft picks, Piet, Lewis Taylor, and Boxall and Lutweiler. So, a lot of our starters are going to be on the bench. I'm going to submit that team and look at our full roster in a minute, or our full starting 11. And here we go. All right. Piedrahita in goal, making his debut for New England. 28 years old. Yeah, so they did give him a first-team contract, and they're honoring that contract. So I don't know how good this guy is. Only 12 reflexes. 12, he's not as good as our goalkeeper, put it that way. Miller on the left-hand side, Tobias Salcedo, Tannerholm on the right. 27-year-old Panamanian Roderick Miller, he's pretty good, marking and tackling. Bryan making his debut in the midfield. Where did they get this guy from? He came in on a free in 2019, and they never used him. Played at Charlton over in Sky Bet League 1. Played pretty well over there, I guess. 6.91 rating. Interesting that they got him on a free last year and never used him. So it must have been some sort of transfer window thing where they couldn't get him in time. But then the rest of their team should look fairly familiar. Delgado, Roldan. Christian Roldan, they picked him up from Portland. Where'd they get him? They got him in a trade last season from Seattle, not Portland. Played 32 games. Played just sort of okay for him. We'll see if he has a better season this year. Kellen Rowe on the left, Fagundes on the right as their captain, and Villarreal up top. Meanwhile, we've got a completely rotated side. We don't have a single starter in the lineup. So we'll see. Crepeau in goal. Giglio taking the captain's armband on the left-hand side. Duverne, our new signee, our big designated player on the right-hand side at fullback. Chevalier, our promising youngster, and Cabrera in central defense. So that's a pretty strong defense. I mean, all 4 of those guys have played as starters before, so that's no problem. Our new draftee, Sweat, is playing the defensive midfielder role. Our new acquisition, Junior Ramos, also making his debut, wearing the number 10 jersey as the box-to-box midfielder, probably something you don't see every day. But anyway, on the left-hand side, we got Raheem Edwards. On the right, Marical making his debut, another academy player. 18 years old, right winger. He's played for the national team. He's a guy, like you see, he doesn't have much ability or potential. So I brought him in to basically be our third winger on the right-hand side. But with Romero getting banged up and being a little injured, I didn't want to play Romero in this spot. So Marical gets to start in the first game of the season. It's pretty wild. But anyway, Dupuy up top and Gianfranco Vasquez. So we got several academy players playing for us today. We'll see how that works out. All right, pep talk. Avenge what happened last time, I suppose. Whatever that was. Let's take a look. We didn't look at the coaches. We got a bunch of new coaches. Wilfred is still there. Jose Villarreal. Closed down on him. Closed down on the advanced players. And it looks like good old Tinnerholm is getting forward, so we'll mark him a little bit. See what we can do. Well, no, let's not tight mark. Let's just close down. All right. That sounds good. Let's go. Sprung a few surprises. Some players will play here. Others will play in the Champions League in a couple of days. Giglio's taking the captain's armband. I know I can rely on him to set the tone. What's the significance of the absence of Kyle Larin? He's just being arrested. You've opted for Jan Franco Vasquez as his replacement. I have complete faith in him. Get out of here. Do I have complete faith in him? I don't know, but we'll see. Villarreal. Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen these uniforms before from New England. These are interesting. Like, they're facing one direction, they're wearing all whites. They're facing another direction, they're wearing reds. Confuses me. Maybe that's what it's for. It's to disorient the other team. Anyway, we start off the game. I'm sorry, I got distracted by some weird stuff going on my other television. But anyway, Marical starts off the game with an injury 9 minutes in. Okay. I guess our only choice is to bring in Petrasso. He's our only winger on the bench. I mean, if we get into a pinch, we could bring in Dupuis or Mike Wynn or somebody. But, yeah, we can't have another injury, and that puts Petrasso in the lineup. He's going to be playing the whole game now. Here we go. First highlight of the match, 11 minutes in. Duverne throws it into Vasquez. Gets it stolen. Can't make a connection. Here's Roldan punching it forward. Fullback is trying to get there. Duverne. Nope. Crepeau, though, makes an easy save on that cross attempt, I guess you call it. But the highlight continues. All right, what are we up to here? Salcedo wins it to Villarreal. Don't like this space we got between... Okay, that's no problem. I don't like the space we got between our defensive midfield here. You know, maybe we could drop Junior back into a Segundo Volante role. He can play that role. But I don't think we're quite there yet. New England still going with the 4-1-2-3 DM wide. One shot apiece for each team. Villarreal now for New England. I want to call them New York for some reason, but they are definitely not New York. Villarreal, bad shot, deflected. Giglio gets in the way of that one. Nope. He just bothers him into shooting it out of bounds. I thought that was a deflected shot. It was so bad. But no, it was just a bad shot. But we finally got one on target. Not good enough, apparently, to show it, but hey. Columbus beating LAFC right now, 1-0. Cabrera gets ahead on it. Roldan, though, gathers it in. Fagundes down that left-hand side, trying to beat Giglio. Okay, Crepeau. It was a bit of a dangerous move there. He had a little miscommunication with Chevalier, but, you know, he managed to make the best of it. Crepeau can't hit Dupuis. We have had, like, no possession whatsoever. Villarreal now. You know, New England's shots haven't been all that dangerous, but they are getting many more of them than us. They got 4 to our 2. It just seems like a lot. None on target for New England yet. Here we go. Let's give us a highlight. Dupuis gets the throw in. Gets it to Raheem Edwards. Centering pass. Can't get it to the striker. Sweat's going to track it down. Gets it forward to Petrasso, who is very much inside. I'd like to see him get out wide a little bit. Dupuis gets it forward to Vasquez. He's one-on-one with the keeper. There's the young man. There is our finisher. That's what we need him to do. Gets in front of goal. Just score goals. Don't do anything else. Don't handle the ball. Don't get fancy. Just do this. Make a run. Good pass by Dupuis. Make a run. Wide open and finish at the net. Good man. There we go. What's he up to now? He is still only 18 years old, so he'll be 19 by the end of the season. But look at that. His stats are going up, improving day by day. He shoots with power. He avoids using his weaker foot. He tries some first-time shots. So he's got some very nice skills and abilities for a striker. It's exactly what we need. 43 minutes and counting. The first half almost up. If we can get a win with our second team to start the season, that would be outstanding. Fagundes sends it wide. I think, sometimes the computer comes into the early season not real match fit. So I think sometimes we have an advantage early season if we play up to that. If we really focus on our fitness, really focus on making sure we're cohesive at the beginning of the season. We can get some wins early season, and sometimes that can be fool's gold. Especially in lower leagues. Maybe not so much here in MLS, but a lot of times in lower leagues you'll get some fool's gold at the beginning of the seasons where you'll win, 4 of your first 5 or something like that before the other teams in the league get match fit and they start, beating your brains in. But I don't think that's going to happen here, except for the case of us winning a game with our second unit. All right, you've played well. Let's see. I'm pleased with how things are going. Keep it up. Whatever. I don't think we can expect that we're going to win every game with our second team. I don't think our second team is that good, honestly. It's okay, but it's not an MLS championship caliber team sitting on our bench, that's for sure. Chevalier, what was that? Just booted it out of bounds. Good man. We didn't lose a highlight out of it, though, so that's okay, I guess. 50 minutes. The clock is rolling. That's fine with me. We don't need any more highlights. Got a bad injury here on the right-hand side. Potential foot injury, so we'll see how long he's out. We've got one extra left winger on the squad. We don't, we got one too many left wingers. That was a terrible pass. Trying to get it to Dupuis. Vasquez. Again, Vasquez, we don't want you doing whatever it is you're doing. We want you finishing at the net. Here's Fagundes. Crepeau with a great stop. We want Vasquez down the field, receiving those passes, not giving those passes. Vasquez, though, looks like he headed that one out. Good defensive play. Dupuis tries to rush in and get to it. Kellen Rowe on the outside sends it in to nobody in particular. Chevalier heads it in. Cabrera, Sweat trying to track it down. What was that? What happened there? I don't know. Sweat fouled himself, I think. Here's Villarreal, gets a free kick. People running around all over the place. Crepeau with a nice stop. Giglio is going to track it down. Let's go. Okay, New England's trying to put the pressure on now. Villarreal gets some space. His shot's deflected. Miller shoots it wide. All right, boys. 60 minutes down. How are we looking? Petrasso's not a great rating. Edwards not a great rating. Everybody else is doing okay. 63 minutes and counting. Let's keep the clock rolling. New England starting to make some substitutions. Brought in Hernandez for Rowe. All right, here's Crepeau. Boot one downfield. Dupuis wins the header all the way back to Chevalier. He's going to bang it ahead. just not good timing right now with our strikers. They're just missing. Here's Hernandez trying to get one past Duverne on the right-hand side. Cabrera is there in central defense. Brian's going to take a wild shot. No good. All right, 69 minutes and rolling. So far, this is looking pretty good. I mean, you know, you'd think you'd want to be in a defensive formation and drop back to some sort of defensive formation, but our team just plays good defense in the 4-2-4. I don't know how, I don't know why, but just most of the time, we play pretty well. Unless somebody exploits our central defense, like they try to split the middle of our central defense. If they try to do that, we can sometimes be vulnerable. Here's Petrasso with a free kick. Just wide. Good kick, though. And at that point, we might drop back to the 4-1-2-3-DM wide. You know, get that defender in the middle of the field. But for the most part, we play good defense. And I don't know why. Vasquez shot's deflected. Villarreal's going to start the counterattack. Hernandez has it. We got 4 guys back defensively, though, so we should be okay. Sweat with a little bit of a drive-by. That's fine. He'll stop that counterattack in its tracks with a foul. Didn't get a card for it, though, so that's good. Tinneron with the throw-in. Rolled on. See what he can do with it. He centers it. Salcedo gets the shot away, but Cabrera is there. And there ends the highlight. 82 minutes. Giglio's a little tired, but he's playing so well. Sweat maybe not playing so well. Likewise, Ramos. But he doesn't. Nobody's got a yellow card yet, so we'll let Sweat. We'll let him sweat it out, I guess. 16 tackling is hard to take that out of the game. You know, there's nobody on our team who's a better defender than that. So we're gonna leave him in. Giglio getting more tired. Only 2 minutes of stoppage time left, though. Minute 30. See if we can hold on. 10 seconds past time here. Boots it downfield. Chevalier is there. Gets it to Raheem Edwards. Tries to get it forward to Dupuis, who does not make a run, because that's not really what he does. Roldan tries to get one forward to Dawson. He beats his man, crosses it. Hernandez with a shot just wide. That would have been awful if that went in. Thank you for not going in. And there's the whistle. All right. So way to start the season, a 1-0 victory over New England, the team we were worried about. Looking at all their off-season moves, we thought they'd have a really good defense, and I guess they did. I mean, they held us to 1 goal. But we did get that 1 goal, and that was enough. So I think New England, maybe they got offensive problems, but again, it's early in the season, so they might not just be quite as match fit as they should be. Let's see, let's go to the dressing room. Giglio had a heck of a second half, 7.6 rating. Got the man of the match. It's pretty good. Wearing that captain's armband suited him, I guess. Very steady game from Vasquez. Got that goal. Kept his 7-0 rating. Dupuis had a better second half, I guess. He got the assist on the goal. So, you know, good job for our young strikers. Well, I guess Dupuis isn't really that young. Honestly, he's 25. So, I mean, that's okay. But anyway. Oops. I handed that over to the assistant for some reason. All right, get out of here. Get out of here. Leave the match. Done enough damage. So that's it. That was a good opening game. Take a look at the schedule here. Up next is our Champions League. So we're going to play Philadelphia. We got NYC FC in the middle of that. We'll probably skip that game. Come back for both legs of the Champions League and then continue on with the season, probably with Atlanta United. Another team that's supposed to be top of the league. Same with Columbus at the top of the league. So we'll probably take a look at those games. Take a look at the Toronto FC game and so on and so forth. So that's about it. How did the rest of the league fare this week? Matches and result. Portland and Chicago with the draw. Houston with the winner over Seattle. Low-scoring week. A lot of times in MLS you'll see a lot of multi-goal games, but not so much this week. NYC and Vancouver. That's a nice draw for Vancouver. 2-2. Toronto and Real Salt Lake. 2-2. Atlanta United. San Jose. That's a good result for San Jose. 3-3. There's a more of an MLS type game. DC United and Sporting KC. Columbus beats LAFC 2-0. So LAFC's woes continue. And then we beat New England, of course, 1-0. So, good week in the MLS. Good start to the season. And that's going to be it. So, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.